Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well, and as you can see I'm here on the street. Today I'm going to discuss with you in French language, something about the French language, le tu et le vous. The you. French language we distinguish between you polite and you not so polite. So what's interesting is that in fact you find this also in other languages. And even in Chinese languages, since China is so far away from France, they also have this distinction. You have the ni and the nin. So you have two different for you and you. And in France, this matters a lot. The way you address people matters a lot. So when do you use the tu and when do you use the vous? So if you are together, if you just talk to some friends, then you will just say tu because they are the friends. If you talk to your family, to your relatives, then you also use tu, which is the non so polite one, you know. But if you talk to a total stranger, then you have to use the vous. The vous, it means more distance between you and the person, and vous, it means more polite. So you are more respectful and you respect him more, but also it creates more distance. You are not a close friend, you are not a family, you are not related, so you use the vous. What happens now is we've seen a change in France. So now this is kind of the American way. In English you don't have tu, you don't have vous. So everyone will be like you know. But in French we have this distinction. So I do something that normally I shouldn't do. In fact, not so many people do it here. Doesn't matter so much. In fact, if you do this in Germany, people will shout at you. But in France, no. If you cross the street like I did, people will shout at you. In France, they will not. But still, not that many people do it. And so what happens is quite often now people are using tu more and more often than the vous, because if you are the boss and you tell to your employee tu, a casual way, the employee will feel closer to you. They'll feel, oh, this guy is so nice, he's close to me, he's like my friend because he say tu, you know. And there is no distance between you and me, and the boss is like your friend, you know, and he can tell you tu, he's like a friend, he's not like the boss anymore, and he will treat you like your friend and ask you about your weekend, and this is a different type of management, you see. Before you could not do this. Before there was the leader, and the manager, the boss. It was a little bit like in the army. He's the boss. He cannot be on the same level as the soldier. He cannot sleep in the same room as the soldier. He cannot eat in the same dining hall as the soldier. Or the boss cannot be the same as the employee. You know, so he needs to have some distance, and therefore he needs to use the vous. But now it's not the same. Now it's the American way, so everyone is on the same level and everyone says tu. And in fact it went to the point that even the president, so I noticed the president instead of so there is the same distinctions that exist between calling people by the first name or by the family name. For example, let's say the French president Nicolas Sarkozy, you know, or François Hollande. Now we have François Hollande. Okay, his first name is François, and his family name is Hollande. And what I noticed that they do now on television when they interview him, instead of telling him Mr. President, or instead of telling him Mr. Hollande, which is his family name, they will just tell him. I don't know how they call him, but they don't tell him Mr. President anymore, but they tell him Mr. Hollande, so by his family name. But what I noticed is that some people will simply call him by his first name, which is really crazy, you know. It's like can you imagine, if you are Chinese, you're watching this, imagine there's Xi Jinping, then someone comes to him and tell him, hey Jinping, could you tell us about the policy you are following for the jobs or for this in China? Hey Jinping, what is your policy for this? This is crazy, right? And that's how they do now. So it's tell you how it became. Now what's my feeling about it? I am not sure. but I believe you need to respect other people, and I believe I like the traditional way. I like the traditional way because I think you need to show some respect to the people you don't know. You don't know him. If he tells you, so what? My suggestion to you. Now that's what I believe. Now, what should you do? How should you behave? So let's say you're living in France and you're speaking French language. Then you meet someone. I suggest you call him vous. And then he will tell you, oh, you can call me tu, and then you can call him tu. And of course, if you call him, use his family name. Don't use his first name. I know for my Chinese students, they would quite often they would tell me, "Oh, Mr. George, Mr. George." But no, George is my first name, so you cannot say Mr. George. Either you call me George, either you call me by my family name, you know. But you cannot say Mr. George, you know, Monsieur George or Monsieur George. It's kind of weird, you know. And another thing that I suggest is it kind of a marketing strategy. Let's say you are in France and you want people to like you, to feel at ease with you, to feel as if they are your friends, to feel closer to you. Of course, you need to use the tu. So what here as the commercial, if you work in France or if you are here, you should always ask the people, can I call you tu? Can I call you tu? You know, and the guy will always say yes, and then you call tu. And since you say tu, there is no more distance, and he will assimilate in his mind. He will feel you are part of his network. You are part of his family, and the gap, you will close the gap. So it's a way to be closer to people, and that's what also the politicians they are doing, starting with the president. So whenever there is an interview on television, I think he does it on purpose. They will, instead of calling the journalist by their family name, Mrs. or they will just call them by their first name and say, "Hey, Nicole, no. What the hell, you know?" And to me, it's very shocking. I think this is a stupid strategy, and you can see clearly. I can see clearly this. I don't know how people feel about it, but I believe most French people, when they see this, they feel, oh, he's a nice guy. He called her by her first name. Oh, and he called her too. But I don't like it. I feel, no, you are the president. You shouldn't call people by the first name or by the tu. You know, that's how it is. But it's a thing to know, something to know, and something to do. Okay, I will leave you for now. Take care and see you next time. Take care, everyone.